Good evening. It's 7 p.m. exactly Eastern time. As per usual, this is the Geeky Gamer Podcast with Bill and Ken. Tonight, our guest is Zorina Pritchétt, a distinguished graduate from Austin. Austin P. But first, I want to tell you about our Patreons. Tim Roberts, Daniel Holker, Nostalgic, and Natalia Klein. Thanks Couchfire Media for the art and media production, as well as Trois Reblay Productions for whatever they do. Tonight's going to be a really good, because we have some authentic game creators here tonight to talk about some really wonderful things, game stuff. Talk about ZoChey.com, and we'll talk about motivational speaking and
you're right.
Veterans.
You're writing books and politics, obviously, on the Geeky Gamer Podcast.
All kinds of stuff. Lots of games, lots of stuff. So, who are you, Bill?
Oh, I'm a. How dare you? Hey, Zorina.
Hi.
Who are you? I failed that part in high school. Zorina, tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zorina Pritchétt. I am a Army veteran, disabled Army veteran to be exact. I am a retired civil servant. I served veterans for over 30 years, helping them with their disability claims. I am a caregiver for my brother that had a brain stroke. I look after him. And finally, I am, besides motivating speaker, I'm a new author. I wrote a children's book, Dancing Teardrops, hopefully coming out this year. And then the great surprise is I became an entrepreneur at the age of 60, creating quick play card games for kids so they can put down those screen time and have a connection with their family and friends. And I'm a grandmother with two beautiful teen girls. So that's my life.
Do you have a favorite game that you were a fan of that you modeled these games after, or did you just kind of how did creating games come into fruition? Where did that come from? Why do these games exist? What is the point of all of these?
I know, because honestly, I never was really interested in playing games. I just couldn't stay focused. They were too slow for me. I always wanted to be the scorekeeper. The name of my game, ZomadicShift, because it came to me in a vision. The concept came to me in a vision. And so I just followed the vision and played it with my family. They liked it. My son said, "Oh, Mom, I like the concept. Can you expand it where at least 4 people can play?" And this is the truth. Got a plate of good food, went on my deck, said a little prayer, and came up with the formula because my background is storytelling and training. And so I knew gaming was like you have an introduction, what the objective is and how you want it to end. All you have to do is fill in the middle to make it happen. And so when I got the formula and played it in different angles and different ways it can happen, I presented it to my family again, and they loved it. And I knew something was magical about it because my teen granddaughters love their screen times. Oh my God, every time you're on the phone, they're on their phones. But somehow, when we played that game, they just love it. And I asked my granddaughter, "Why do you like it?" And she said, "Gigi, I like it because it's quick, it's playful, and it creates memories with our families." And so that is when I fell in love with game creating, because I wanted to do more for our kids. So that's how I got into this space.
So Zomadic is a wild name. Like, it's like,
I was literally about to ask that question. What in the hell is Zomatic?
I mean, I presume it's like automatic. Zorina maybe a little bit.
Nomadic and Zorina is it
Yes, because you think about nomads. Because when you think about nomads, right, they move around a lot. They don't stay still. Well, I just put my Z in front of it and came up with Zomatic. And the shift part is because with this game, you never keep your original game. You're constantly shifting cards throughout the game until the final person holding the card wins the game. So it's sort of like opposite of that Uno. You want to be the last player holding a card to win. And so it's challenging because there's cards that's going to tell a player, give their cards to the left. Everybody that holds a card have to give their entire hand to a person to the left or to the right. So there's constantly shaking it up. And so that's how I came up with the name ZomadicShift.
Very cool. Now, what's the little? You have a YouTube video of how to play. I think you do an entire game. On your
That's
website.
my family playing it. Yeah, my family playing it. And then I tried to do a YouTube video because, you know, as small business people, you don't have a lot of resources to get a videographer to do it.
Yeah.
So we tried to do it ourselves. And the reason being is because, you know, sometimes people don't have time to read the rules and you just want to have something available for them to look and see how the game played. Right. Because it is played differently. It is played differently. It has elements of some games that you know, but you and I know that it's the way you put a game together that gives it that uniqueness. And so when people play ZomadicShift, because it's very fast, get stumped because you're like, what? I got to give up my hand? Yeah, left. We got to all shift our hands to the left. Or you pull a card that says give. Yeah, you got to take one card out your hand. Oh, take. You got to take a card from me. Yeah, they got to take a card from you. Oh, my matching I'm out the game already. Yeah, you're out the game already.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's kind of like life, though. You know, we're all experiencing unexpected. Like you think you're in the doldrums and like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden you get this ZomadicShift, and everything's different.
Yeah, and you only can get if once you out the game, you only can get back in if someone pull a give card and you happen to be on the left or the right. That's the only way to get back in.
You could run out of cards and still win. Maybe is that possible?
Yeah, if they give you a card, if someone pull the give card and they bring you back into the game.
Very cool.
That's it. You know, and you have some wild cards in there. The wild card is for, say, for example, you're out of cards, like you said, and you happen to be one of those 4 people or one of the ones, because there's only 4 wild cards in the deck, and you happen to have one, and you're out of a card. Well, you get when it's your turn to pull, and you put down that last matching color card. Then you have to put your wild card down, and then you choose from which player you want to take a card from. And it could be that player with 1 card, and if that's their only card they have, you won the game because you're left holding a card. I love playing it with families because it shows you how loyal families are. They'll always take the card from you and not their loved one.
Yeah. It's got that Monopoly vibe. You make some problems real quick. This is cool. Yeah, and I like your guys' website too.
It's very colorful. It looks like there's a lot of joy in there, and I'm guessing it's a pretty fast-paced game.
Yes.
How old for the ZomadicShift? How old? What age groups do you think?
The original one, ZomadicShift, is for ages 11 and older. You may have some younger players who don't mind getting cards taken from them, okay? But I made a junior version called Pass and Play. It gives the same dynamic, but it doesn't have the little kids from ages 4 to 10 taking cards from each other. They're matching and passing cards. Like they may have a card that say pass 1 card or pass all cards. And the whole purpose is, my brand is that I always want to shake it up. I don't want you to have your original hand. I want to add some suspense for kids. And so I found out that they really like that game too. And you don't have them being upset that someone took a card from them. If they're more engaging in the fun of passing and just playing a simple game one of the things too about I like my brand of games is it's multi-generational. You can play with grandma and grandpa and the kids, and because it's not strategic, we're just playing some simple fun, and it has that suspense because we're wondering who's going to be left holding that winning card.
Wow, that is cool. Very cool. It's
also, I wanted to say something. The reason why I chose the way my website is laid out is because I wanted to show that my game, particularly Pass and Play, is very inclusive. I've had an opportunity to play with special needs kids at a middle school. You just slow the game down, but it was so wonderful watching them be so happy and also helping each other to identify the cards and pass the cards. And so my slogan is creating giggles and wiggles of fun. And so that's what I want. I wanted to show that sometimes we forget what children sound like with laughter. It's a beautiful sound, and laughter is a moment of happiness.
Whoa, you're like genuinely a good person.
I try to be.
Well, clearly, I mean,
live in LA, like I'm not used to it.
Anybody, where are you located now that Bill has suggested his location? If you don't,
I mean, have I really suggested it? LA is a really big place.
I mean,
yeah, I'm in Maryland.
Maryland,
right outside the district.
Oh, nice. My first car, my aunt but lived in Maryland for a while. My first car had Maryland
license plates. That's right. Okay, so you can get the game on your website, obviously. I'm interested in, well, actually, how much is the game?
Actually, it sells online at Walmart at $16.
Oh, on Walmart. Okay.
Yeah, Walmart. I applied for Walmart and they picked me up.
I was going to say, how do you get a game in Walmart? That seems like difficult.
Not in Walmart, online with Walmart.
Yeah.
I applied and they accepted me, and so I got the money together and ordered 4,000 games because I wanted to keep the price competitive. So I ordered 2,000 of ZomadicShift and 2,000 of Pass and Play, and then Walmart gave me a mentor for 90 days to help me set up the platform and everything. So everything is set up pretty good. I just have to do more marketing. And I was at first, but then I fell down my stairs and injured my knee. So I haven't been able to get out and market as much as I like. But yeah.
Now, how are you marketing it?
Well, I do a lot of local stuff. And then my granddaughter said they're going to help me with TikTok and Instagram because I don't really get on social media things that much. And then also my mentor had mentioned trying to find someone who do videos, maybe a college student, because we looked up videographer and they are quite expensive.
I know.
And so we're trying to get it out that way. And then talking about it a little bit on podcasts because you never know who's going to listen to it. Right. But most of the time, I have to say, I'm very proud that when people do play the game and they get the old way of playing games out of their mind and just go strictly how the game is played, they really enjoyed it. Last week, I played with veterans who had PTSD. Wow. I did a game therapy session with them, and I sold 13 games.
Wow.
So yeah, and they want me to do other mental groups with them to show them the game as well. So I hope to show it to seniors to encourage them to play with their grandkids, and then recreation facilities. And being a new entrepreneur and a new game creator, it takes time. You kind of grow organically unless you can get in front of maybe a major company and ask them to partner with you with the distribution. I am hoping that maybe that could happen because I want to make quick games. I want to help parents who are busy to get in there, play a nice, fun game, and then just go on about their life.
Wow. That is wild. That is wild. I am very curious as to this dream You said that it came, the game came to you in a vision. So
Yep.
what?
I'm telling the truth. It came to me in a vision, and it wouldn't. I tell everybody it wouldn't let me go. I could just see it, and then one day I decided to go to my local hardware store. I'm not going to name which brand, and I got a series of paint cards, and I just literally closed my eyes and I can see it, and then I just started marking the cards, and it really surprised me because once my family liked the game, I put it away. And my granddaughter came over and she was like, excuse me, Gigi, I want to play that shift game. I tore my house looking for that game. And we played it and she just said, Gigi, this game is so fun. It's so quick. You got to bring it to other children. And so that is what I did. I like to move a little faster, and I think most game creators would like to do that, make their game and get it out there. But when you're competing with the big guys, it's very difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
Very difficult. So you have to grow organically, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a process. But it's really, you know, your colors are great. It seems like it's a lively, you know, certainly your website is on point. And as far as I can tell, you're talking to us and our massive following that we have. But I mean, it's a process. It's definitely a process. And if you're excited about it, I think good things will come. I would like to know more about, you know, so you're working with veterans and playing this game. Like, what did the veterans? What kind of insights do they have and into this game? Like, how do they react and stuff like that? I mean, and can you give us just a little bit of history of like about the veterans that you played the game with, if you can give us just a little insight to that.
Well, the veterans I played with are Vietnam veterans. These are veterans that were diagnosed with PTSD from war. And so because I experienced anxiety and depression myself, and I found the game to be very useful, especially like when I'm stressed out, because, you know, when you're playing a game, you get, especially if it's a fun game, you get distracted about the woes of life and you just be mindful of what you're doing because you want to win, right? And so one of the members had heard about my game and asked if I would come and present to their group. And so because I have a training background, I wrote up a training instructional guide as how I want to navigate through the session with them. And so I talked about the benefits of playing with the game, and then we set it up. And at first it was interesting because these guys are all in their like 60s and 70s, and they're trying to play games. You know how you pull from the deck and you put it in your hand? Well, with ZomadicShift, you don't need to do that. Just turn the card over so everybody can see. But it was interesting to see how they caught on to the game. They liked it. One player was trying to cheat, but there's only 12 player cards. So you can't cheat because if I don't have it, you don't have another player. We know you got it, but he was trying to cheat. So that added some camaraderie to it. And the whole purpose was to try to encourage them to have social connections with their family and friends, and that playing a game is a safe environment because you're around people who want to support you. And so what better way than to push yourself for that engagement is with your family and friends while having fun. And so it was a hit. And so the director of the Vet Center wants me to deliver the same game therapy sessions with other veterans from different periods of war that are experiencing PTSD.
Now, you said that, I think you said that you were in the military?
Yes, Army.
Can you tell us any about that?
Oh, I went into the Army when I was about 19. I was married at the time. My husband at the time, we had sort of like eloped. We got married and we thought that we were going to keep our marriage quiet and let our parents keep paying for our education. But my Snoopy mom went into my bedroom and looked into my dresser drawer and saw my marriage license and said, "Oh, well, no, you're a woman now. You got to pay your own bills." And so we had to get our own apartment. And so we had to get our own apartment, and we were struggling. So we both decided, wow, we'll just join the military, because then we can serve our country, and then we can get some education benefits to further our education. And so while in basic training, I got hurt, which delayed me coming out and him being further along. And then later we had a little vacation where we get to go home after basic training. And then I came up pregnant. So I went back to...
Before you get too far into the story, how do you take a leap from like... That's a big jump to join the military. Oh, we got married. Oh, and like, I don't know what to do. Let's go into the military. And what were some of the why was that an interesting like option for you? Like, what was the
military?
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Let's break it down. The military give you housing, right?
Sure.
They're going to feed you. They're going to clothe you. And then they were offering education bonuses. So all we had to do is serve our time. And then also with the military, you can continue your education while in the military. So that was a win-win. And then you sprinkle the patriotism on there. You know, you're serving your country.
But you couldn't be with your husband anymore. Like that they joining the military.
Joined.
Well,
now
Ken,
so
we're putting the cart
You
before the
missed that part. We both
so
joined the
you
military.
both joined. How long did you have to be apart, like through like training and stuff like that?
Just for basic training.
So
We both chose the same MOS, what we were going to do in the military. So just basic training.
Oh wow! So it was just just for that that period of time, and then you could.
Yeah.
And did you have any control of like where you were going to be stationed? To keep you stationed
they
together.
Chose for us. Yeah, they chose us. After we did our basic training, we were together. They sent him to another base and me to another one because we were married. I don't know if they still do that, but back then they just sent us to 2 different locations. Yeah. And then we met up in our advanced school.
So, okay. Basic training nowadays in the Army is around 10 weeks. So you're saying that we're going to dig into your history here. So you went to basic, you got hurt, took you a little bit extra time. You say got hurt. How did you get hurt?
Oh man, a freak accident. This girl and I had kitchen duty, and we had to take the trash out. And back then they had these big, huge metal trash bins. I don't know if they still make them, those real big, heavy ones. And so her and I were trying to lift it, and somehow her side dropped. And it smashed my hand between the dumpster and the trash can. And so I ended up getting infected and had to have surgery, and that caused me nerve damage today.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right. So we're digging into the goodness. So you get out, right? And then if I heard correctly, you were pregnant.
Yeah. After we went to, after basic training and everything, and we going on AT, we were able to go on vacation, give us a break. We went home and thinking about it. Let's, not being graphic. We hadn't seen each other in weeks. And so I got pregnant.
Right.
So and I found out when I was in my advanced school that I was pregnant.
So were you able to finish, or is there like a leave of absence? Or?
I did. I finished everything except that at that time when I went in, that was back in the 80s. Yeah. Women had to give up their child. Not give it up like you couldn't keep it. Someone had to watch your child because I was stationed at an infantry base.
I see.
And so we were going to be going out a lot with training. And so it would have been very difficult for me to keep my son. Sure. And at that time, I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to hand my child over to my mom while I go do this. So my husband and I, at the time, we decided you get out and then you finish your military obligation in the reserves. And then I stayed with him.
I see.
And I would just do my military around the different Army reserves that was near the military base. And so that's how we were able to do it.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Wow. And as for the military, I mean, I did not go to the military. Several of my friends went for a lot of the same reasons I feel that maybe you went in. It's just that when they went in, the next year it was 9/11, so it's a little bit different story.
Yeah, I was just on the other side of that. So my friends were getting out of the military at about that time, and some of them joined at about that time. I mean, I think there was a big. We were both in Kentucky, so it was at that time. There was definitely a call to action in that moment.
I tell you though, that experience was wonderful because that experience taught me at a very early age about working as a team, leadership, courage, resilience, not being afraid of stuff, just face it head on, forward thinking. I'm very happy that I had that opportunity to serve my country as well as grow into my womanhood, to be honest.
And
That's awesome.
Did you I'm guessing that gave you confidence to create this game as well. You had this dream, and it's just like, did you rely on any of the stuff that you got out of the military to pursue it? Especially
when I wrote my rules too brief and I had a mentor. He was like, I don't understand this, and honestly, I wanted to cry like a female because it was like, oh my God, I'm trying to do something good. But I feel like once you're a soldier, you're always a soldier. That toughness, that resolve. And so I just went to my business class and came back home and worked on it. And when I submitted it, it was fine. I think more so, I feel like what motivates me really, guys, is the passion of protecting our children. Many people don't realize that too much screen time is not good for our kids, and parents are using it for various tools, to wind down, whether it's go over there, play your little game, mommy do this or dad do this, or they're at restaurants, instead of engaging with their kids, the kids sitting at a table with a game, and kids are looking at it from an educational perspective as well as entertainment. So when do they get a chance to socialize? When you're tucking them into bed? Because some of them are sitting at the kitchen table playing a game, and they're going to grow up so fast. And this is what I tell people. If we're teaching them, if we're allowing them to have so much screen time that they're eroding or not developing their social skills, how do we expect them to build communities in the future when they don't know how to talk to each other? And I have friends that are school teachers, and they said since COVID, the kids just act like their social skills just went out the window. Sure. So we need to bring it back. We need to bring that family unity back. We need to sit down, relax, have some chips, some drinks, and just enjoy our kids and have them laugh and be kids again and not be afraid. I think we as parents,
I think what you're saying is it's not just kids. It's through the whole. All of people who are trying to learn. I know people who are teachers who are non-traditional teachers. They teach older people. They teach younger people. I know a number of teachers in my life, and it seems to be since COVID, everything is quite a bit different when it comes to trying to educate people. Like there's some kind of switch that happened between the way things were before and the way things are now. So I mean, and I would even take that one step further, that people in general, like they aren't as good at driving as they were before COVID. It's like, I don't
know, you got some data on that one. But then also too, people's attention span. You notice that everybody wants stuff nice and quick. Let's get it quick. And so many people as adults are being diagnosed. So I just think that's another reason why I really love ZomadicShift and what I want to do with these fast-paced games. I call them, fast interactive digital simulations because kids are so used to stuff moving fast. And so I try to think of concepts of games that move really quickly. So if you want them to transition from their digital devices to a non-digital, then you need that stimulation. And then once you get them in the mood of gaming and like tabletop games, then you could possibly transition to them enjoying the traditional games like Monopoly and Uno. But most of my granddaughters, they always say, oh God, these other games are so slow, Gigi. And I'm like, wow, these kids are so used to stuff moving fast and we're still trying to give them slow stuff.
Yeah. Unlike our podcast, which is nice and slow. We really like to take the time to get to know somebody.
You take time. You mentioned ADHD. I don't know if there's a difference between ADHD and ADD. Anybody? Do we know the difference there?
I think they're very similar.
I know.
Very similar. Well, and the idea of being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, right? So adult ADHD. Several of my friends, that's the case. And, people that I know, their kids, like everybody has ADHD.
Yeah.
To the point where I wonder, is there a difference between having a problem with focusing and this diagnosis? And then, when do you get on, for lack of a better word, we'll say medicine, right? When do you get medicated for it and that kind of stuff? So not to put your game in that category, but do you think that your game helps people with ADHD and this sort of thing?
I think so to a certain degree, only in the fact there's so many moving parts. Remember I talked, you have the cards where you're shifting your entire hand. You got cards that say give and take and matching, and you have to follow the direction of the game. So if you're someone that has that illness, you're used to being all over the place, because that's how I am. I can start with the kitchen, say I'm going to do the dishes, and then I see something over here. I move from the dishes to over here, then I see something over here. So next thing I know, I'm all over like a salad bowl cleaning of the house. Yeah. And so sometimes people with that illness, if it interrupts their life where they can't do their job, they're not functioning, then they probably do get on medication. But there's others who just want to be able to focus, be mindful of what you're doing. And for me to control my situation, I have to be mindful. And that's why I like playing my game, because you have to specifically do what it says to do for us, the cards. But because it's such a simple chance style game, it's not requiring me to think a lot, just get into the moment and have some fun. And so that's why I think people with that type of illness would probably like it, because it's quick. Two people who know this game can play it in 3 minutes or less. Wow. Because it's simple. I mean, it's just matching and doing what the cards say. You don't have to think. And that's why I said, well, you do think, because you got to know, match the color for its color recognition. But I meant it's not a game where you're stressing out. You're not trying to recall like, oh God, who was the last person that did? Those situations for some people is very stressful. And I think the way life is now, if we can find things that will help people to unwind, have fun, just relax, it makes life beautiful. And so that's why I think the game will be helpful for them, because it is quick paced. You're not going to get too bored with it. And even when you're out of cards and you're wondering who's going to win, it's still exciting because the cards are rotating. And it's like you're watching and thinking, oh, I think they got it now because they only got 2 cards and this person got 1. And then they get a card that says left, and then they switch their hand, and then the next card pull happens to be the card that other person had. But because they switch cards, now that person wins. So it's still exciting being on the sideline wondering who's going to win. And when I play it with kids, I make it exciting. I say, okay, pick who you think is going to win. And then we find out who wins. And say, oh, wow. Now, so you can make the excitement.
I think the obvious question, or at least to me, the obvious question, assuming you're not playing with kids, you're definitely playing with people that are, above the age of 18. Do you ever do a drinking game with this or a gambling type situation?
Oh, now you know my son. If you notice on my website, that's the only testimony I have because we're gonna add some others. My son, when he played it, he said, "Mama." That's just how he said it, guys. He said, "Mama, this game here, once it hit the mark," he said, "I'm telling you, Mommy gonna like it because it's simple. You can play with them kids, put them to bed. You and your adults come together." Play with your quarters, your dollars, whatever, have a little fun. And then he said, "Mama, then you can, after that, everybody got no more money, person won, then you can turn it into a drinking game. 3 games into one, Mom." He said, "Just that simple. It's hard for people to cheat unless you're trying to hide a card underneath your seat." And everybody's like, "Okay, wait a minute, where's the card?"
Right.
And so, but then I have a friend, her and her husband, my best friend, she's gone, Blondell. They would play it in another kind of way because it's so fast. You know, they would play who's gonna wash dishes, you know, little adult kind of play with it and stuff because it's so fast and it's so chance style that you just don't know. So there's different ways you can just have fun with it depending on what's the wager. What is the wager here we playing for?
That's totally part of the game. Does the rule book include how to make wagers?
Yeah, I would say if given opportunity, if Bill and I played this game, because we were talking about playing games on this podcast, that by the end of the game, I feel like just because of the way we are, we might not be very sober.
No, maybe not.
My granddaughter and I, we played the game waiting on our food at restaurants.
Sure.
Also with ZomadicShift, you know, you can play up to 12 people. They'll only have one card. And we played at a restaurant with 12 people.
Wow.
And it was very interesting because they, of course, was trying to learn the game. And then one lady ended up getting out. She was like, "Oh, we think we're going to work on this game," because she was thinking of the game in a traditional sense of Uno. A lot of times people keep thinking about Uno, and when they're out their cards, they say, "Oh, I won." And I'm like, "No, you lost. You don't have a card." Remember, the objective of the game is to be the last player holding a card. And it was like, oh, man. And so when you think of 12 people playing and rotating around, you're still only going to have one winner at the end. And it's so funny to see which 12 of you is going to have that card because you're going to be changing it. So it's just fun. Very
because
simple.
people will be coming in and going out like turn by turn. Like you'll be out this turn, but you'll be back in next turn. I'm sure with 12 people.
No, you'll be out. The only way you can get back in if someone gives you a card. If someone pulls a card that says give left or give right, and you're on the side of them, then you come back in. We played a whole round one time. My granddaughter got out really quickly, and towards the end of the game, her father grabbed the give left. That brought her back in, and she won the game. So just imagine if we were playing for money. You done set out the whole game, and that can happen.
That's the best way to win.
With this game. If somebody come right back in and they win the whole pot of gold.
Sure.
That can happen with this game.
Yeah, and especially if you can keep on betting, even if you're like I don't know if there's rounds, but at some point, if you can keep on putting money in, that would be pretty interesting.
That's the thing about simplicity of games too, because the players can determine how they want to modify the rules. Like one time, a friend of mine said her son ended up getting all the wild cards, right? And so if someone get out of wild card, you may say, "Oh, well, the game's over with." And I told her, as a game creator, it's not my role to try to come up with all these different things for you guys in that situation, because that situation is going to be one out of so many. So then the players can determine, well, if you got all those wild cards, one person, then we determine that, okay, you have to give it away to somebody. And so when you think about, my primary audience was what? Kids, right? So if a kid playing with an adult had all those wild cards, that kid is going to be excited because that kid pretty much know I'm beating mom and dad right now. But you looking at it from an adult perspective is totally different. So you can modify it. You can make it so, like, in the way the game is played, you don't shift your wild cards. Your wild cards stay with you, because your wild card is where the strategy come in.
Right.
For you to get back in the game if all your match cards out, or to eliminate players who have one card and you have enough wild card where you think, I'm gonna eliminate them and then I can stay in the game. It's up to you to do that. But with children, you don't want to make it more complicated than it is. You want them to have fun and enjoyment. So you can modify the game and say, you know what? We're going to shift all our cards in our hand, and that includes the wild card. But I was looking from a child's perspective of them just enjoying the game, playing with their parents, and having fun.
So I've got a couple questions. I'm just going to rattle them off. I wanted to talk a little bit about you being an author, your next game, and then also how you approach making games. So you can answer those in any way you want.
Okay, so my next game is called ZomadicShift, because that's my brand name. It's called Face Off. And Face Off is a matching and grab game. You're going to match the faces, but then you also get a chance to grab other people's faces, and you get to grab their bonus points. But you won't know what their bonus points are, because they will be turned over. The only thing you'll see is the matching faces. That one is being printed. I'm just going to do more testing on that one, and as soon as I feel satisfied with a variety of people and ages playing it, then I hope to get that one manufactured when I make some money. Because it takes money to put these games out there.
Sure it does.
And then my children's book, when I retired after taking care of my brother with his brain stroke, I needed something for me as a retiree, because when you retire, you have dreams about what you want to do. And so since everything was wrapped up with him, I needed something for me, like I said. And so one day I just decided I want to challenge myself. I like writing scripts and making up stories. So I said, you know what? I want to write a children's book. And I sort of wrote a little, I guess you kind of little short story of it. And I shared it with my granddaughter, and I said, what you think? She said, well, I like it. I said, well, give me a title. And so based on the way the story was, she came up with Dancing Teardrops. And so I liked the title. And so I wrote the story around that particular title. And it's just about a little girl who's hanging out with her grandmother. She wanted to have her first tea party by the big oak tree. At a rainy day, they couldn't have the tea party, and it just shows how her grandmother made her laugh, because they ended up going out there dancing in the rain. And so she was so excited about that. So just about being the family bonding, the resilience, and all of us have great stories. Most of us have great stories playing with our Nana or our Papa. Mm-hmm. And so it was more about that bonding. And then what was the third one you wanted to know about?
How you approach making games.
How do I approach? First of all, I sort of like conceptual, come up with a concept.
It's always
about
a dream. It's always a vision.
Yep. For real. For me, it is. I think of a concept, and then I visualize, because I'm a very visual person, and then I visualize it in my head how it's being played. And so actually I found a tool that's very helpful too, for those of you who are interested in game creation. ChatGPT is a very good aid. Once you come up with your concept, all you have to do is put it in there, tell them how many cards does this, what the cards do. It will write your rules for you, and then you can go in there and polish it. You can ask them question. This game is like what other game? It'll tell you that. You can ask them, is this game unique? What makes this game unique? And it will tell you that. So yeah, that's what I do. I really think of it in my head. I visualize the gameplay, and then I use ChatGPT to put it all together for me. So then I can take it and I just print it and I look at it, and then I play in different ways. Like right now, I'm working on a multiplication games for kids to play, more of an educational, to try to help them to learn their multiplication in not a fast way, but in a fun way. And then I have another game that's involved. Yeah, so I just think of something just come to me, honestly, and then I say, oh, I like that, and I can see it being played, and then I'll do that, and I put it in, I call it my little file for later, and stuff. And then sometimes I go back to it and tweak it a little bit more. And then once I like it, I make a dummy copy, a prototype, my poor girl's prototype. And then I have my family play it. And then if my family said, oh, I like this, and I set it aside and keep fine tuning it until I can really see that I think it's a fun game to try to put it out there and test with people.
There are worse things than, play testing game for your mother. Like there are definitely worse things that you could be putting your family through. So good job. I have actually on a different note, if you want to go in a slightly different direction, you do caregiving for your family. I also spend a lot of time. I help take care of my grandmother who's got dementia, and do you have any thoughts or tips for caregiving, like and when things get hard, how do you keep your headspace, or when you're in the middle of it,
when I first started, let me tell you, when I first caregiving for my brother who had a brain stroke, I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't until I made a mistake that I mixed his pills and my pills in the same pocket because I wasn't mindful. And it was his blood pressure medicine. And I took that pill and it was causing me to crash. I ended up in an emergency room.
Oh, yeah, it does that.
And it was a doctor asked me what happened. And I told her, she said, a lot of people who caregiving, their focus is on caring for that person, but they forget about them. You always have to be mindful of yourself, taking good care of yourself so you can show up for them. And so when she told me that, because she said, this could have ended very badly for you. And what I started doing, and I encourage people who caregive, come up with a plan. Like, for example, I used to do what they call bulk, make all his meals for him so I wouldn't have to make meals every day. And then I would put them in little bags, portion control, and freeze them and take them out. And I know people hate the microwave, but that worked for me at the time. And then also...
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, you cook 3 meals a day for somebody.
And then also, you may have to pay their bills and stuff. Yeah. So I would set aside a time where I would do his financial matters. Sure. I wouldn't do his and then go over to mine. I separated the day so I wouldn't make any mistakes that way. When it came time for his medications, I found out getting the little trays that's 30 days are really great because now I'm able to do the 30 days. And then also too, I found
the 30
out
days
just
in the morning, noon, and night. Yeah, we've got those pills. That's really helpful.
And then too, I found out when it came to appointments and stuff like that, immediately put him on the calendar, check the calendar. So I have his calendar, my calendar, podcast, I have everything. And so it's just scheduling everything, writing everything out, get it out your head. If it's something that you need to do for that person, don't try to keep it in your head. I used to have a pad and I write down my to-do list for him.
Yeah. Is he able to communicate pretty well, or is he?
Oh yes, now he is. But initially, now I got him to the point where he's much healthier. The only thing my brother cannot do is make major decisions. He can't do financing. He can't drive. He can't do medications. He can still do his activities of daily living. I just go over to his apartment and make sure everything's taken care of. But
does he live on his own?
Yeah, wow. I finally got him able to live on his own. I got some backlash of that because people felt like, because I live in a nice sized house, why isn't he there? And I'm gonna tell you,
like autonomy means a lot for somebody. If they are, I don't know the situation. So, but
this is what the situation was. This. My brother, like most men, are independent. He was used to driving, doing everything for himself. And what I knew that the brain stroke affected that ability to be independent as a man or a person. I wanted to give him something that he could feel independent, having his own space, deciding what meals he wanted to eat, being able to build relationships, because in the building he's in, other people have disabilities too, but it's not assisted living, just a regular apartment subsidized with people who also have illnesses. And now he's building relationships. And by doing that too, when you give them some independence, let them have some independence, find out the things that they can do and let them do it, because I think all of us want that independence, and when it's taken away from us, it also affects them psychologically. And so when I did that for my brother, it was like a 360. He started thriving. He started speaking better. We went to the neurologist. He was shocked.
Because he had to do things on his own. It wasn't just given to him.
Only last thing that I didn't do is for 3 years, my brother wanted a puppy. And so I bought him a brown ceramic dog. I said, here's your puppy. Put it on your little legs. And he did. And so then he said, I want a puppy again. A year later, I found a little black one. And one day he told me, oh, the black one fell off. I got the brown one. And then last year he told me, this year in March, he said, I want a companion. I said, I think you're ready. Got him a dog. Would you guys believe that dog is brown, exact shade like that ceramic dog? The dog, we brought it from a breeder. Not potty. They don't say potty trained for a dog, do you? He's housebroken.
You say whatever you want.
He's housebroken, so he didn't have to housebroken, and it's just perfect.
Oh, that's great.
And I see him thriving anyway. So again, as a caregiver, you do everything, but things that they can do for themselves, let them provide the oversight, encourage them to be a little independent. My brother learned on his own, tried to catch the bus to go to a mall, and he went to the mall, but he didn't know how to get back. He had to call someone to help him back. So I told him, don't do that. Let him know what the boundaries are, and don't stress yourself out. Don't stress yourself out.
Well, it's pretty easy to get down on yourself too. Like I've experienced that in my life, and taking, and you think, oh, you feel like you're doing a good job, but you still like beat yourself up. Oh, I could have done this or that or more, or
don't do that. Give yourself grace, and then when you're frustrated, it's okay to say you're frustrated. Take a step back, because it is frustrating. You're living these two lives. You're trying to manage two lives, and when I'm frustrated, I take a step back. And when I do something that I know wasn't right, I apologize to my brother. I say, I shouldn't have talked to you like that. I'm so sorry. And he'll say, of course, you okay? I say, it's not okay. It's never okay. I'm a little frustrated right now. Just let me have a little moment, get myself together. We regroup. So that's okay, because you're human. And when you need a break, get that break and come back refreshed, because they need you.
And so do you play your game with him? I don't know if you said that.
I do. My brother has played this game so many times.
Does he like the game? Does he play test the new ones?
He likes it because he said it's simple. It forces him to think with the direction. But even after playing it, it amazed me how we didn't play it so many times, but you'll think he's played it for the first time. And that just lets me know how serious the brain is damaged when it comes to recall. So it's like he's playing it for the first time. But he also went to the veterans PTSD, and he loved it. He kept saying that was a good time. And I honestly think that what was good for him was the socialization, being around the guys and the camaraderie of the men, playing in the competition and the talking smack that men do sometimes. And so, it's great for him.
Well, my grandmother, she's got some dementia and some cognitive issues, and I'm wondering if a game like this would be interesting, because it's filling time is difficult with somebody. You don't want to just put them in front of the TV, and you can only talk for so long before you're like, what am I even talking about? So interaction and playing games, we play card games, but the card games, like, we can't even play War. And we used to play War when I was a kid, but she doesn't know what's higher or lower. And so, like, figuring that stuff out, but I think the act of going through the motions is good for them because there
I
is
think so, too, the
interaction and stuff
movement.
like that.
I would recommend for her a game pass and play. Even though it says 4 to 10, I
Yeah.
recommend pass and play because what you'll be doing is color recognition,
Yeah, the
which
colors
is something.
yeah.
And then also you'll be doing some upper motor movement by saying, okay, Grandma, it says pass one card. Oh, okay, one card, yeah. Pass all cards. So she's gonna, as you guys are playing, you're constantly shifting and matching. So that's the only thing she's doing, and that would be a lot more simpler for her.
Because
Now you can't.
I
I
gave
was gonna
her
say this too.
I gave her
Okay.
like we had a whole list of like object recognition cards, you know, like for kids, and we would go through that, and I think she would start to get embarrassed because it's just like, I know that's an apple, I know what that is, I can't say the word, but I know what it is. I know that's a car, but I know it's a blue car, but I can't say what it is, but I know. It's like, why are you treating me like a little kid? So like we stopped doing that, even though I think it was helping her a little bit and getting her mind to work, but it was just too simple. And I feel like something like pass and play, where, you know, there is an objective, and it seems kind of fun, and it's got colors in it, and you can say, oh, what color is that? You know, kind of offhanded, because I going through the stages of dementia is really been a learning experience for me. I'd not really spent that much time with someone who is slowly losing their cognitive abilities, and you know, dignity is so important for them, but it's also like, how do you have fun? So I really think I you know, this seems like it's bright enough color wise and interactive enough where she's not like browbeaten by like, the cat is black, you know. You know, it's more
color.
Yeah, it's
Also too, now do you think she can get the give and the take? Like if you pull a card that says give,
well,
she'll know that.
I think it would be a process. I mean, because one of the things that we struggle with is like when it gets to pill time or eating time, and we're slowly starting to having to interact with her more and more, you know, starting to need to feed her a little bit, or, you know, getting her to do breaths. There's this little kazoo thing that she does in order to keep your lungs and stuff like that, where she would do, you know, I need 10 breaths, and we do it one at a time. Okay, blow in it, and like, and then we have an inhaler where it's got a steroid where she's got to breathe in. And so like breathing in and breathing out are concepts that are very difficult for her. And
yeah, so I think pass and play, because all you guys are going to do when you play with her is matching colors and shifting cards, and then she'll know, okay, if you're left with the only one left with the card, you win. Who's ever left with the card wins.
But it's you know, a simple enough game to where she might be able to pick it up and get it, you know, where it doesn't like too much strategy. I think more than anything, more than 2 or 3 seconds is difficult. But
yeah, and then also too, but the good thing about it, the simplicity of it, is that even with her dementia, that color recognition is still making her brain work in a simplistic way. Right? I think that's why too, when the graphic person did the colors, I kind of regret 2 colors, because the gold and the tan look similar. However, I was going to switch it out, but then I thought, you look at special needs or people like that, you want them to distinguish the color, but then the words are on there too, so they can read it. No, your card says gold, that card says tan. So they can know the difference in the color and the reading. And so then also, like I stated earlier with her, the motor skills of being able to pass the card, following direction. No, that card says this. And so I think that would help her. And you guys are having fun because you're having to do the same thing, as opposed to her looking at, oh, that's red, that's yellow. Yeah. That's not fun. But if you're playing an actual game, it's moving around, that will help her. Because I honestly
can you play it with 2 people? Is that possible?
With that card, you can play with the pass and play. You can play with I think it's 4 people or 6 people because it's 8. I think it's 18 cards. You just want to divide them out equally.
Is it possible to play with 2 people? Am I making this up? Is a version where you could play with 2 people, or does it need to have more people?
Well, 2 people. See, the thing about it is pass and play plays 2 to 6 people because there's
because you're passing
you just divide the cards equally among the players. The more people, like if you just wanted to play with her, you can play with her, or if you, I don't know if you have a significant other and you guys play together.
Sure.
She sees that interaction, you can play with that. Yeah, both of the games you can play with 2 people.
That's interesting.
The pass and play is 2 to 6. Another one is 2 to 12 people. ZomadicShift is 2 to 12.
I'm watching the end of the game here on the Zomatic instructional.
On the pass and play?
Yeah, the pass and... No, I think it's the ZomadicShift instructional video. One. And it's really fascinating the way that the hands move across.
That's my family. But I wanted to upload the one with my son playing because my son thinks the game discriminates against him.
Oh, sure.
Because he has he has his wife and his 2 daughters, and he's never won a game. He's never won a game since I created the game. He's this game doesn't like me, Mom.
It sounds like it.
You know, he's a competitive. I'm gonna tell you. If you are a competitive person, like really competitive, this game is going to make you angry because it plays quickly. It's a chance style game. It's just that shifting of cards and wondering if you got the right hand. And like I gave the example, you can have the blue card. He can have a yellow and a green card. He thinks he's going to win because he's got 2 cards and you got 1. And then you guys shift your cards, and next thing you know, he's out. Had you not shift your cards, he will still be in, and you will be out. And so that's the great thing about it. And kids love it because they like the movement of the game. They just like the movement. And I've seen the magic of it with the pass and play. There was a little girl that was, I guess, upset about something, and it was her time to play the game. Her mood changed. Because with kids, it just plays different. It's just a simple game, but the movement, the suspense of it, just, I don't know, kids like it. And those who play ZomadicShift, if you play it correctly, even if you have to go to the video, it's just, if you want something quick and simple, that's what it offers you. It's for people like me who have problems focusing. It's for people who are too busy but will love a pickup game. It's for people who want to play with their older people or people with any type of impairments, and you just want to ease them into different things, but you want it to be fun and not like, oh gosh, that kind of stuff. It's that type of game that can be used for multi-use, because when I did with the PTSD veterans, I knew from my own experience that some of them would like it. But when I found out that many of them like the game, and they kept saying how quickly it is and how different it is, and that's why they like it. So it's been a journey. Game creation is very fun. It's very visual. It's storytelling. I encourage everybody to try it, because for me to not like games, and now I'm falling in love with games and wanting to bring things that just, make kids have giggles and wiggles of fun. That's what I'm here for. And if the parents happen to have some giggles and wiggles of fun, that's just icing on the cake. But it's really for kids. I just love hearing kids laugh. It's just a beautiful sound when they're happy and having fun with their parents. And they love beating their parents too. Yeah.
I would rather hear kids laughing than screaming.
I know. And I ask kids, the kids, they like video games, but they say sometimes they hate playing alone. Yeah. So maybe parents don't get the game where they can have their friends with, but they say that's something they don't like. And I say, and I had a principal to buy the game. She said, you know what, I'm going to buy it because it's very fast. And when I have kids have time out in my office and I have more than 2, if it's 2 of them, I'm going to just have them play your game because it's quick, give them something to do as opposed to just sitting there. You know, so I'm trying to also pitch it to recreation facilities to do the same thing. When you have kids on timeout and there's more than one, let them play a game.
Yeah,
Let them still work on their social skills.
It's interesting. So we play a lot of tabletop role-playing games, and one of the reasons that I like doing it, ever since I was younger, is for the social aspect. Because not only, I mean, you're hanging out in a room with your friends, whatever. Maybe having a drink or something, but when you're playing a game, you're working towards something together, and that's the reason why party games work. You know, even if it's a randomized game, you're doing it together, right? And that's pretty cool that you've come across this interesting idea, this vision blessed upon you. It's interesting that your brain was kind of like working that. I'm interested. I only have a few more questions, but you mentioned storytelling several times and that you're an author of children's books and such, but you mentioned scripts and storytelling. So before your game creation and before you wrote this Dancing Teardrops, in what way were you writing scripts and storytelling?
Well, the storytelling, because we used to have at the organization that I worked at, you know, have what they call special emphasis programs. Like you have like history, women's program. And so I wrote some scripts. Like I did two scripts really. I imitated a script with Oprah Winfrey visiting, having dead people from the past and interviewing them. Wow. And then I wrote a script where Oprah go back to the past to visit the dead people. And so they like that
because she might be into it.
Yeah. And then also as a trainer, I used to write training scripts. I used to get in front of the camera and deliver training for our people, employees nationwide. And so and then what was the other one? I lost my train of thought.
Scripts.
So that's where the script writing came from, as easily, because, you know, just a basic format. You put in what the person gonna say, they say this, not that. So that's really easy. And script writing is really like you're just telling a story, but you have it in such a format where people can easily to read. And then also with storytelling, when my granddaughters were young, you know, that little game where you start off telling a story, then the next person add to the story, and you kind of like go around, wrap it around. I used to play a lot of that with my granddaughters, telling stories. And then I think for me, because I've always been creative and imaginary, I just think of things and visualize it and then write it down. And so I love acting because I did do some community plays when I lived in Tennessee. And so that creative side of me, being someone else, I've had people say, well, wow, you're pretty good in your acting. How do you do that? I say you become that person. When you pick up a script and you say you're going to play this person, you feel those lines. You actually feel what you think they were feeling, and it makes it real for you. So it's not very hard. And so I look right now at being a game creator. I feel like that is what I'm doing. I'm taking a story and putting it into play. That's basically what it is. I know what I'm visualizing, what I think I want, how I want the game to play. I know I want to have one winner. How do I get there? What do I need to do with the dynamics in the middle of this action to make it happen? And it's just like a story or anything. There's an introduction, a middle, and an ending.
That is interesting. It sounds very easy, but being someone who, one, an actor in Los Angeles, two, a game creator, I know it's not easy.
It's not. So it's not.
You definitely have a gift for, despite seemingly having no focus, according to you, you seem pretty focused in what you're doing.
You forgot, see, that's because you missed the part where I said I will conceptualize it. I put in ChatGPT, right? And then I put it away, and then I have to go back, and then you look at it again, and then sometimes when you look at it again, you might like, oh, I don't really like that. So it's not like they just come to me very easily. You know, you may come up with the concept. You may think of something of concept, you know, But then you got to think it through. Is it going to be something fun? Like this multiplication game I'm thinking about. Kids struggle with their multiplication, but how am I going to make it fun? So I did come up with the concept. Chat GPT, like the name I came up with it. It gives you some ideas, but I have to still go back and look at it and look at it and look at it. And so, no, it's not easy. Game creation is not easy because you can think it fun, but other people may not think it's fun, because then you have to realize that game isn't for them. Who's your audience? Who do you think is going to benefit from your game? And you have to always keep that group in your focus. And so because I do have difficulty with my focus, that's why I do things in little miniature. I have them little boxes, like even with the caregiving, because I know I can get off focus. That's why I encourage write it down, so then I can revisit my list and say, oh yeah, you need to do this, because I've dropped the balls on many of things that I'm supposed to do. Thank God they weren't life-threatening, but yeah. It's not easy.
I get it. I got a whole box of number 2 pencils for exactly what you're talking about. It's interesting you mentioned AI. Ken and I have had several guests on here, and with the chat and such, AI comes up a whole lot. And it's interesting to hear people's perspective on it. So Ken is a filmmaker himself and a musician and all sorts of things, artist. And AI, there's a conversation that AI threatens creative outlets. And you hear a lot of bad talking about AI, especially from actors, the whole thing. It's interesting to find someone that has actually used AI as a tool, in a very productive way, not in a way that like replaces something, as in like, instead of like doing the work, you just talk about AI, but you actually use it and leverage it. I am interested in your opinions, if you have any, on AI. And Ken, do you have anything to say too?
Right.
I really like AI. You want to say your thing and then I say mine?
Oh, I think that from what you've already said, you've given a lot of really good reasons why, certainly from our past experiences and conversations, you've said several good reasons why it's sort of good as a tool to create what you want to create. But go ahead. That's all I wanted to.
For me, because of the nerve damage in my hands that I mentioned earlier, AI is a tool, because if I had to literally type out the game rules and how things are, it would take me a while. But if I just type up the concept of the game and what each card does, and this is what it does, AI is able to take that, whatever that is, and put it together. It doesn't always come up with the concept the way I have, but it gives me a starting point where all I have to do is retrieve it out of that platform, put it on a Word document, and go back in and modify it. And so that's what I like about it. I do feel just like when I wanted to write an important letter to someone, I myself, because I do have some issues where I was in an accident, I had a concussion, sometimes it's hard for me to connect the dots. And so using AI to say, you know what, I want to send a letter to such and such, such and such. This is what I need to say in the letter. And for it to format a letter for me, and all I have to do is just make sure the facts are right. Also, another tool about AI is like, because it has the information about ZomadicShift and pass and play already in there. When I wanted to write a press release, I said, oh, help me write a press release. It pulled that information that it had already about the games and stuff and wrote me a press release.
Wow.
So that's something that's very positive, I think. But then there's things about AI that makes me uncomfortable, because I think when it comes to the creative field, people may use it to do shortcuts. Like I know an author that was supposed to be helping someone write their story, and she mentioned how she took their story and then she just put it in AI, and then AI just wrote it, and then she goes in there and just tweaks it. That I thought, wow, that's interesting. That person paying you all that money to listen to their story, and then you're plugging in the AI. AI is formulating the lines and stuff, and all you're doing is tweaking.
Well, they do have AI. You can plug that stuff into generators now, and they can tell if it was written by AI or if it was written by.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I think Grammarly has something. I'm not to advertise but
I think entity. AI people who are not creative, who may, and I may be jumping out and I don't have any data, but I think that people who are not creative like we are, whether it's acting or writing music and stuff, that is, I feel like creativity for some of us, it is a unique gift that we have. We just have it. And so people who want to emulate that may use a lot of digital, just like, for example, digital art. My friend was all into that digital art. I personally, some of it is cute, but I just like the traditional art. It all looks the same. There's no unique character about it. And so I think people are just going to try to substitute. Instead of doing the work themselves, they're going to rely on AI, but you have to check AI for its accuracy because it may not be accurate. And if you're relying on it, you may have some plagiarism and some other kind of stuff going on with that. But for me, someone who has disabilities, AI is a great tool for me to use to just put in my game concepts, tell them what the cards do, and have it just put it in that proper format that you normally use for game rules. It saves me some time in that way.
It's like a super spell check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I dig that. And leveraging it, and I think as AI continues and as people continue using it, those things those things come to fruition. I don't have a good way of articulating this. It's kind of like, when photography came out, everyone was like, oh no, painting is dead, right? Oh well, no, why would you ever paint someone now when you have a photograph, and obviously that's not the case. Painting changed, and then photography becomes its own thing, and I think the same thing is true with AI. And there's a whole lot of stuff that I've seen walking by TV. I don't really watch TV, but I see other people watching TV, and I've seen stuff about the Chat GPT boom or whatever that bubble is, kind of in the process of bursting. So
it is, and people they have some bad actors. One thing though, I am curious though. I just wonder if AI will be able to. I just don't see how AI could replace script writers, to be honest, because AI is a collection of data that's out there in that space, right? With script writing and you're telling a story, I don't know if AI can capture those emotional moments. You know what I'm saying? It could just say maybe a straight line that it heard from but most of the time when you're doing storytelling, there's this emotional element of it that only humans experience, and it's artificial, right? It's just artificial, and it may just say a line that sounds right on paper, but then how many times you've seen a line on paper, but then once it's said orally, it doesn't have the same effect as you read it. So I think it could be used as a tool, but as a substitute for the talents, the emotional makeup that humans bring to, I don't see it. I think it's going to be just like you said. It's going to have it's going to be used the way it's supposed to be used, whatever. Bad actors, they'll figure it out.
Ken, do you have a rebuttal?
Oh, no, I definitely, well, it already has Chat GTP and the writers guilds in general have already, taken jobs from writers because
oh my gosh,
it's you can do a lot more brainstorming very quickly with Chat GTP that it would take a full writer's room. You're right. You might not get the same results for sure, but you know, getting the story and you know, Hollywood's a machine, and so it's a factory of writing. It's and you know, I think in time we will probably notice this stuff creeping in, and I think it'll take away more interesting storylines. I mean, I think it not just that, but I think a number of things have gone into writing in general that has pulled from storylines and from where we are as creatives, just because we're distracted all the time. So you add distracted writers and Chat GTP, it makes it more of a homogeneous kind of narrative that Hollywood and Hollywood loves homogeneous, so it'll just be more of the same.
Okay, well, I can say from a consumer perspective, a lot of the movies and different things, they have different actors, different location, but sometimes the plot is the same. He's like, oh, did I see this movie before? Oh, they just added a little twist here. Maybe he didn't fall over. He fell over this time, but the last time the person was standing up in that other movie. Creativity is just hard. So we sort of go full circle all the time. So if Chat GTP or whatever, Chat GPT can enhance the human element of creativity, like tweak it a little bit because it's able to go in a database and put it all together. Okay, but to use Chat GPT and say, hey, write me a love story. Okay. And it just write a love story. You just go with it. It's going to be something wrong with that. And then eventually, you know, with streaming and everything, people are gonna be like, you know what happened? We can't be creative anymore. It's the same old, I'm paying for the same old, you know. So I hope it doesn't replace the creative people. I really do.
See, you and I agree, and that may be because I am a closeted ideologist, but I think that the novelty of, oh man, Chat GPT or AI wrote this song and it's so good and it's so funny, and you listen to it and you're like, the entirety of that song is fake. Like, it's generated, the voice, there's prompts that a human did, but the instruments, everything, and it's a song that you would assume a human did. I think the novelty of that will wear off quickly. You know, so the first completely AI developed, let's say Netflix show, I'm sure there's one coming out, right? At some point. Everything's AI. Of course we'll watch it, because there's the novelty of holy crap.
And then there are film festivals already out that are entirely AI generated films festivals.
But there's a point where it's like, but will you watch the second one that comes out? Maybe. Will you watch the third? Probably not. Until people start using it creatively, you can't just plug stuff in and it's not going to keep going. I don't think.
And I think in streaming, I hear, doom scrolling or whatever. You hear the AI voice and it's immediate. Like I hear or see AI content and I just flip by it. I don't.
Oh, you go past it.
I don't
You're
care.
talking about social media.
Yeah, social media. I'm trying to stop all the doom scrolling at this point anyway.
I think you're going to be right. The law of diminishing effect is going to hit. But then also, I think with the generation that we have now, because they're even talking about how there's this shift that's happening with social media. And what I mean by when people did social media before, I guess when it first started, maybe it was more authentic. You know, people got their little devices and they made videos. But now people have gotten to the point they're making it look so professional. They're what is it, changing it, modifying it, where the person doesn't really look like that, or they're not really there where they say they are. It is all fake, that people are very leery about it. So they want to go back to that raw, natural, like him sitting there with his t-shirt. Now, if he really wanted to impress someone, he wouldn't be there with a t-shirt, right? He'll make it look all nice and have his little angles, right? Maybe have his hair all gel, looking a certain kind of way. But the kids, the people today, they want authenticity, because there's something beautiful about presenting yourself or the content or anything in an authentic way, as opposed to be something that's just fake and manipulated. And so I think with AI going into that space of our entertainment, we're going to be like, oh, wow, that's cool. Wow, how did they do that? And then after a period of time, it's going to be like, oh, that's AI. I'm sorry. Yeah. But there are going to be some people going to like it, but I think a large percentage of us are not going to like it, because it's going to lose that human element. It's like, for me, when I see commercials and they using the cartoon characters to do the commercial, it's cute. But I guess because I'm a baby boomer, I want to see the real human using that product. I want to see the expression. I want to know, not this animated looking stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting world. I hope to be around to see it, I think it's going to be a world, like, for example, I know this is something totally different, but because of AI, and you hear these rumors of them taking advantage of elderly people, saying, something happened to your grandkid, you need to send money. Right. Instead of answering my phone with the traditional, like, hello, I'm like, how may I help you? Nothing that would make them, can put it together and use it as my voice to get something. And so I'm thinking, this is terrible. This is actually terrible, where we're afraid to be ourselves because someone could take that and manipulate it and make it sound like it's really us. And so are people afraid that their job's going to be replaced? Go to McDonald's now, you just go to a kiosk. No, I want to talk to a person. Oh, no, well, we want you to go do the kiosk. So there's some good to that. If you're busy, you don't want to talk to anybody, but
I do have to say, when I worked fast food a long time ago, and I'm not saying that this is, everyone, but I did not like that job. It was not fun. It was not fun work that I didn't want to do, and everything smelled bad. And there are restaurants I will not eat at because, like, you smell them from 30 feet away, 30 yards away. You're like, oh, I can tell this restaurant's nearby because I can smell the food that they make.
So everything's going to be different, though. They're not going to have to worry about customers because everything is kiosks and.
Sure.
I just wonder, my last thing about that is this. With AI and the emergence of technology and how people love being able to not want to go to the movies because we thought it was expensive, which they were, and now you can stream them. And I was telling my companion this. If it gets to a point where now we're streaming our movies, we're getting most of our entertainment in our homes, and we're working at home, where's the socialization? Is it only going to be in the bedroom?
Yep.
I mean, where's the socialization going to be?
Absolutely. But you're right.
So when we
Where
have
is it?
to come together, like, who are you?
Yeah, but I mean, that I notice it post-COVID, that people aren't going out and talking to each other anymore. Just talking to my neighbors seems to be more infrequent, where 5 years ago we would stop and chat. Like, so it's maybe that's part being really busy all the time, but the other part is like I miss being able to sit or go to a place and talk to strangers. And if they're looking at their phone, it's not possible.
Yep. Oh, and talking about neighbors, I have to say this. Someone told me this is a true story. A police officer said this. Neighbors don't talk. They had an incident where some robbers showed up to a neighbor's house with a U-Haul, emptied out the house. Wow. They were on vacation. And so when they came back, the neighbor said, oh, I thought they were moving out. Well, they didn't talk to their neighbors. They never interacted with their neighbors to let them know, no, we're not going anywhere. We're here. And they said that is happening more frequently than people know. And I thought, oh, they just made that up. But my girlfriend said that happened to her. They went on vacay, came back, and the people showed up at their house with a U-Haul and was coming back to get the rest of their goods. They just happened to come back early. And I asked her, I said, well, did your neighbors know you were gone? Oh, I don't talk to my neighbors. So now when I travel, I tell my close friends in the neighborhood, hey, I'm not moving out my house. I'm just, take a few days out.
Yeah, we know the people across the street and the people next door. I mean, we're all kind of in each other's business a little bit, which I think is important. Safer
Socialization
too.
is so important. It's just important. And we encourage those of us that are in games, that enjoy games. It's the socialization, like he said earlier. It's that connection that we truly enjoy. The game, it can be a game, a sucky game, and we're like, man, this game sucks here. I know, but let's just keep playing it.
Yeah.
Because we're having fun with suck.
And
so I think that is something that we should just continue to do. I hope the people that's in Hollywood would not push it too far to give us all this artificial stuff and not have a balance between using AI and also using the talented creators to come together and form a perfect union that maybe AI can shorten the time frame of the prep and all this other stuff, but actually still give us some really great work. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, that's pretty much what I have on my notes. Ken, do you have anything else to add?
I think it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And thank you for continuing your service and bringing joy to kids and it sounds like adults, veterans, across social platforms. This kind of game leads to socialization, leads to trust, I think, community. I think we should be playing more games. And thank you for creating this really awesomely named ZomadicShift. And you can find that game. You can find that game at ZoChey.com, and that is.
You can go to the website and purchase, hit the buy button, or you can go directly to Walmart, type in ZomadicShift, or you can type in ZoChey. Website is ZoChey.com. ZoChey. ZoChey.com. So
Zorina, do you have anything else to add?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's so great to talk about games and other topics as well. I do ask that for those who are listening, check out the game, especially if you want to I call it quick play game and want to connect with your family, want your kids to take a break, or if you have special needs children, I really recommend the pass and play. Gaming that I found is just really fun. I really, at this age, at 61, I really wish that I had the ability to stay focused to enjoy games when I was coming up. However, I feel like right now, though, I get to enjoy them now because I get the opportunity to create games that are quick play that I can play and enjoy and pass on to other people. But I really do encourage you guys to spend time with your family, your children, your loved ones, and just have giggles and wiggles of fun. There's too much stress and negative energy out there. Have some fun. That is what brings life so much beautiful to us. And my quote is, and I don't think I'm plagiarized, but I thought about it. Laughter is a moment of happiness.
Awesome. Well, that is the last word. Ken, you want to lead us out?
Sure. Thank you, Zorina Pritchétt, for being with us tonight on the Geeky Gamer Podcast.
Geeky Gamer Podcast.
I would like to thank the score provided by all lowercase letters and Mr. Interrupt, as well as our Patreons, Tim Roberts, Daniel Hulker, Nostalgic, and Natalia Klein. Why don't you go to patreon.com/Dreadlord
Why not?
and join?
ahead. It's
You get
there.
access to all kinds of great, fun stuff on our Patreon.
Fun stuff.
Art and media by Couchfire Media, as well as Trois Productions.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
for whatever it is that you do. This has been the
really
Geeky
know.
Gamer Podcast. Bye.
Brr.